Good morning. I am Andrew Mehr, and my pronouns are he, him. Challenged by our liberating faith, we discover deeper spiritual meaning, nurture loving community, cultivate courageous connection, and partner in the work of justice. Welcome to all of you on the live stream and in person. We are pleased to have guests with us in this room and participating virtually. I encourage you to reach out to our Director of Member Relations, Kelly Green. Her email is on the screen. We have large print orders of service, personal hearing assistance devices, and an elevator available. There is also a hearing loop in our alternate worship space, the Bernstein Room. We have coloring pages and fidgets for all ages in the vestibule if that is useful to you or your children. Today at 11:30, we will have our monthly theme discussion in Bernstein. This month, we'll be talking about the theme Flourish. Next week on April 13th, you're invited to join us in Bernstein after the service at 11:30 for a presentation from our Share the Plate community partners, Transforming Nations Forward. Please contact the Justice Ministry team for more information. Also on Sunday, April 13th, at 4:30 p.m., you're invited to join us for the return of our annual Passover Seder. This is volunteer recruitment season. If you're interested in joining any groups or teams, please contact Kelly Green for more information. And more information about these opportunities can be found in your order of service, or in our weekly e-newsletter Currents, or on our website. Again, a warm welcome to each and every one of you, whether you are here in person or joining via live stream. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, origins, identities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. It is good to be together.
Good morning. And welcome once more. Welcome to this place of becoming and belonging, this place where we practice what it means to be human together. Welcome to this time of worship, created holy and made holy by each one of us. I'm Reverend Amanda Weatherspoon. I'm the minister of this congregation, and what a joy it is to be here together once more. And happy April. Each month, we explore a theme that connects us more deeply to worship, to religious education, and to congregational life. For the month of April, this theme is Flourish. How fitting when the outside world looks like a Botticelli painting every day. As spring is fully emerging around us, we pay attention to the many lessons that nature has for us, even in the midst of the busyness of our day-to-day lives and all that there is to tend to in the wider world. So when we gather here, we can bring it all. So we light our chalice this morning with gratitude for the beauty in the lessons and the opportunity to show up as our full selves once more, planting the seeds and watching them grow. Come, let us worship together. And in that spirit, I invite you to rise in body or spirit to turn and greet your neighbor.
And another good morning. Good morning. Love it. I am Paula Gribble, Director of Lifespan Religious Education. My pronouns are she and her. I want to tell you a story this morning, but first let's talk about a word. The word is perseverance. Can you say that with me? Perseverance. The word perseverance just means to keep going when things are hard, to persist. Now you might be used to hearing the word resist, which means to stand up against, but the word persist means to go through. The story I want to tell you is about someone who went through some hard things, who persevered. Once upon a time, well, actually last September, there was a huge storm that came here where we live. It was caused by a hurricane that came through, Hurricane Helene, and although where we live, we didn't have the weather that was the worst, we still got bad rainstorms. Did people get bad rain where they were? Yes. One evening, as the rain poured down super hard and didn't seem like it would ever stop, there was a kitten stuck out in the storm. She cried for help, but there was no one to help. Who knows how long she was out in the storm, trying with all her might to keep going, to persevere. Finally, she found a place to hide under a bush next to a fence. She still cried out, though I am not sure she thought anyone would hear her in the storm. But someone did. A young man named Grayson, who happens to be my son, heard her and went out to look for the crying he heard. He found the kitten in the bush where she had tried to hide so deep that she'd gotten herself stuck. Grayson gently pulled the kitty from the bush, himself getting completely drenched in the rain. And he wrapped her up in her shirt, into his shirt, and brought her to his house, my house, a few houses down from where she was hidden in the bush. Now, sometimes kittens are afraid of people, but this time, since this kitten had already gone through so much, she was too tired to lash out. She was too cold, too frightened. So she clung to Grayson and to me, jumping into our laps anytime we came outside to check on her. Sometimes she even climbed up on our shoulders and nuzzled into her neck, burying her head. And this is what she looked like on that first stormy day. And you might think her troubles were over at that point, but it was not so. Apparently, there was more for her to persevere through. You see, we didn't plan on having a cat in our house. We already have a dog, and my husband Herrick didn't want to have another pet for lots of reasons. One of which is that pets take a lot of care, and he just wasn't sure that we could do it and do it well. We kept her in the box you see pictured there for several days. We gave her scraps of what we had and water, and she stayed on our porch or in our garage. Now, she could have run to somewhere else, looking for another place to be or someone else to take her, but she didn't. She stayed. She persevered. In the meantime, Grayson and I were looking for a place that might take her in. Each place said no, that they couldn't take her. One place even said that even though they thought she was only 4 to 6 months old, she was too old for them to take. And the rains continued. It was a hard decision all around. I mean, what were the Gribbles to do? You see, we had to persevere too, knowing it would be hard to keep her, but then terribly hard to just let her wander off, and even harder it was to find some place for her. Nothing felt like the easy thing to do or even the right thing to do. But eventually, we made the decision to keep her. And the day we made that decision, the rain stopped. And it was a beautiful sunny day. My son named her Percy, short for perseverance. And it remains fitting for us and for her. See, the thing about perseverance is, it isn't just about the hard parts. It's about what you will find after the hard parts, what you hope will come and be after the hard parts. So, after all the perseverance, Percy began to flourish, and this is what Percy looks like now. And we all love her very much. Sometimes when there are hard things, you can fight against them, but you can also fight through them. And when you do, there's love to be had, and nourishing and growing. There's support, trust building, and sometimes there's even fun and snuggles. Perseverance Chaplain Gribble, actually, who is now totally a part of our lives, and she's the one that taught me that. And I'm so glad we have Percy now. I hope she feels like it was worth it. And I hope that sometimes when you find hard things that you have to face, and I hope that when you can, you will persevere too. So, now it's time to go to our classes. And when the song starts, we're going to go and gather in Freeman Hall with our teachers and then go to class. Ready, everyone? Let's go.
The reading today is Everything is Still on Fire. Everything is still on fire, despite your best efforts. In addition to living, it is clear that, fire or not, you must level up in what it means to thrive. Right now, that means wrestling with the truth in the fact that everything is not your fault. I'm sorry that everything is still on fire. Once hate catches, the winds of not my problem blow and the blaze is hard to stop. But hard is not impossible. Not yet is different than never. You in community have an answer. You have a response to systems of power and control and to the cost of suffering. You and your community together are the answer. You are not only a people of flame, but also a people of cold, clear truth. You know both where you fall short and where you flourish, and where you still reach. Everything is still on fire, but all is not lost. You remain more nimble than steadfast, more unshakable than swayed by the latest rage. You are here to put out the ravenous flames and heal the world. Enough is enough. Please remain seated for our song, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Wendellberry writes, "It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings." "I'm scared too," said Senator Cory Booker during his record-breaking and history-making filibuster speech early last week. "But fear," he says, "is a necessary precondition to courage. I'm angry too," he goes on to say, "but never let your anger consume you. Channel it, fuel it so it can help your love be greater and stronger." His words remind us that the impeded stream is the one that sings. Nothing really seems like enough these days. Not enough marching, not enough of a response, not enough time, not enough solutions. And it feels like we're zeroing in on this scarcity while everything feels so intense. And in the midst of a world that is still on fire, we also have our own lives to contend with, our own challenges, our own joys, our own stuff. And it's hard to truly disrupt business as usual when it's our own business that needs disrupting. It's hard to break the chains that bind us when we are bound to the reality of our everyday lives. And yet, there is a great suffering happening in this world to which we must attend. There is a suffering that is happening in the lives of those that we know and love, and perhaps there are sufferings in our own lives. And as much as I'm sure we'd like to look away, for a lot of us, that's not really an option. So how do we do it? How do we expand to hold the cacophony of joy and sorrow, of abundance and scarcity, of too much and not enough? Well, one thing we can do, which we do here often, is we listen. We listen to the voices that stretch across time and space, that call to us, that sing to us, that weave rich stories of love and loss and pain and suffering and the beauty in the midst of it all. So journey with me, if you will, to the tempestuous waters of the Atlantic Ocean. In a time so long ago, but not that long ago, that ocean where over the course of 300 plus years, millions of bodies were trafficked from their homeland to face lives of brutality and hard labor. So let's talk about the Middle Passage of the transatlantic slave trade. The triangle trade, as it is called in history books, it's a journey that each time would start in Europe, where material goods were loaded up and sailed over to the shores of Africa, where those goods were traded for enslaved Africans. Those enslaved Africans were then shipped over here to the Americas and traded for sugarcane and tobacco, rum, spices, and such. And then those goods would straight back over to Europe, and so forth and so on for hundreds of years. Over the course of 300 or so years, about 15 million enslaved Africans were trafficked to these shores to plant the seeds of this nation and to later build its economy and its wealth. But it is on that middle passage where we witness the endurance of the human spirit. Unfathomable conditions, the worst of human suffering existing in the bowels of these ships, inhumane cruelty, disease and death, other unspeakable acts. But in the quiet of this human suffering, something emerged. In the cabin that was so dark that no one could see a thing, From that darkness emerged a single sound, a deep, guttural moan. A moan of anguish and pain and suffering, a wail that starts from the depths of the soul. And in another part of the cabin, a shout in response to that moan, and then another moan, another cry of despair, and then another shout, another recognition, another message that you are heard in your suffering, that I am suffering with you, that I see you, that I am you, and you are me. The moan and the shout. The moan and the shout of that middle passage is described by historians as the original call and response that we find in the Black spiritual tradition, this secret language that could not be understood, that could not be controlled by the slavers, that could not be quieted, that could not be silenced. It's also said that the enslaved people on the boats would make music from their chains, from banging their bodies on the floors and on the walls, that they would create music together in these ships. That music later becoming the songs of the work fields, which later became the songs of escape and freedom, which later became the hymns of worship and praise as spirituals, which later became the rhythm of the blues and the sounds of jazz and the groove of funk and the beat of hip hop and the rhythm and poetry of rap. An entire cultural narrative born in the pain and the suffering on the bowels of a ship wrapped in the arms of beauty. Do not take beauty lightly. It is what saves us. It is what has always saved us. So we look not only for the beauty, but we find where the beauty is flowing through us. An impeded stream is the one that sings. And how can we keep from singing? So if we can believe in beauty, we can also believe in hope. And hope is tricky these days. Not only is it challenging, but it can seem kind of tepid, overly optimistic, not a tough enough response to everything that's going on. Sometimes it seems like the message is to just have hope, like it's some kind of object that we can go buy at the store that we can easily get and then hold on to, and there's something wrong with us if we don't have enough of it. And in the midst of emotional warfare, hope seems really hard to grasp, even unrealistic in these times on those terms. So we can turn to the wisdom of an author that I love. She's a climate justice activist and has been for many decades, Joanna Macy. And Joanna Macy describes a different kind of hope, what she calls an active hope. In her latest book titled Active Hope, How to Face the Mess We're In Without Going Crazy, she challenges us that, in her words, active hope is not wishful thinking. Active hope is not waiting to be rescued by the Lone Ranger or some savior. Active hope, she says, is waking up to the beauty of life on whose behalf we can act. With active hope, we realize that there are adventures in store, strengths to discover, and comrades to link arms with. She says, active hope is a readiness to engage, a readiness to discover the strengths in ourselves and in others, a readiness to discover the reasons for hope and the occasions for love. She says, a readiness to discover the size and strength of our hearts, our quickness of mind, our steadiness of purpose, our own authority, our love for life, the liveliness of our curiosity, the unsuspected deep well of patience and diligence, the keenness of our senses, and our capacity to lead. And she says that none of these things can be discovered in an armchair or without risk. Active hope is not something that we go and get or something that is given to us. And this morning, I will say with my full heart that we must stop waiting for someone else to do for us what we can only do for ourselves. We have to stop looking for the next Messiah or waiting to blame the person who we think should be doing the work for us, should be doing the work better, figuring out what it is, what we need to do. We have to figure out how we activate the hope in our own lives. That is our work to do. So the question is, how does hope live through us? And how do we create hope for one another? The author of the text, Joanna Macy, she's a longtime environmental activist. She's a Buddhist scholar. She's an author of many books, and she's been doing this work for decades. She teaches a lot about what she and others call the Great Turning. And she approaches the challenges we face today from creativity and from spirit, always urging us to look beyond the despair and embrace our joy and our purpose as we do this work. So when she talks about active hope, I know that she's not just placating us or saying something that just sounds good. And although the text is through the lens of environmental and climate justice work, the depth of this text is about hope. And she breaks it down in a lot of different ways, but one concept that she spends a lot of time with in the book is the importance of honoring our pain for the world. Honoring our pain for the world. And that honoring of our pain is part of a larger body of practices that she's developed over time that she calls the work that reconnects us. So let's zoom in from the bigger picture for a moment and tend to our own spirits and talk about resilience. Now this is complicated because there's been kind of a pendulum that has swung back and forth around this idea of resilience. Embedded in our culture has always been this sense of rugged individualism, which we talk about all the time. And a companion of that is this need to tough it out, or to suffer in silence, or to just get over it. But then over the years, we started noting how toxic and isolating that can be, and that we are social creatures, and that we really need each other. So we started to emphasize empathy as a core need and a core practice, and the pendulum swung in the other direction. But somewhere in all of that, resilience kind of got lost in the shuffle. Now, there's a good reason for some of this, because for a while, the main communities from which resiliency was expected or demanded were often marginalized communities. The idea that marginalized people needed to keep soldiering along in the face of danger and doubt, that folks on the margins ought to be able to withstand any amount of nonsense thrown their way and just keep going with as little support as possible. And that's the reason why so many of us began rejecting this moniker. However, the role of resiliency is critical in sustaining active hope. All of us. We must be willing to grow our capacity for disappointment, for frustration, for things not going exactly how we think that they should go. And for this reason, we can look to communities and people on the margins who know that all too well. We can learn from these stories. We can learn from those experiences what it means to have hope in the face of despair, and what it means to be resilient and to truly build capacity. And part of that is honoring our pain for the world, honoring the pain that lives in our hearts for this world. And a part of building the active hope is creating spaces in our lives to honor that pain, to give it a name, to let it live, to cover it in light rather than in darkness. Beauty is often born from a place of pain, because when we let it, our pain can show us what it is that we truly love, what it is that we are fighting for. Every social movement that has advanced us has been born from that place of pain and love. Works of art, songs that move us, words that inspire us often come from that same place. It is the genesis of creativity, of life's longing for itself. So we find those places of pain, and we will find the love that holds it, and that is something worth honoring. Right now feels really hard because it is. Because everything is on fire, but active hope is emerging all around us. We saw that yesterday when millions of people across the country showed up en masse to do just that, to let the hope live through their action, through their resistance, through the moan and the shout of injustice, saying, I see you, and we are in this together. So the question isn't where is there hope, but how is that hope flowing through each one of us? Not where is the beauty, but how are we creating beauty in our actions and our choices? The task isn't to rid ourselves of any pain and suffering, but to expand our capacity and commit to the love that is showing up for us in this moment. These are the times that make us who we are. Right now, right here now, this is when we get to decide who we want to be. These are the times that show us just exactly what it is we're made of. And yes, we can be scared, but let that fear lead us to courage. Yes, it may feel impossible, but we must be willing to reach beyond and dream it nonetheless. And through the darkness and the despair, may we reach out and connect with one another in the sacred language of love. Where there are walls, may we build bridges. Where there are chains, may we break them. And when we cannot break those chains, may we use them to make so much beauty that we have no choice but to break free. When love calls us, may we respond. And when there is no hope, may we create it anyway. Because it is exactly when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The impeded stream is the one that sings. And how could we possibly keep from singing? Ashe, bless me.
To reach the unreachable star.
are grateful to our members who pledge their generous financial support and make regular contributions to sustain the work of this congregation. I will invite Tenna Murphy to deliver a stewardship message, then I'll be back with a few words about the offering and our share the plate this week.
And I still had to get on the step stool. All right, give me just 1 second. So, hi all, I'm Tenna. That was a really amazing sermon. I just want to say that was like fantastic. And as Andrew has mentioned earlier on, and as he will mention later, sustaining the work we do is only possible through every single one of you. It is hard work, but it is worth it. As one of our religious education educators, it is my joy and honor to help our children flourish into the fullest versions of themselves. The silly, the dramatic, the emotional, the brave. Had I not had that experience as a child myself in this community, I know I would not be as well equipped to navigate this world as I am now. It is refreshing to know that what we do has a direct impact on those around us, and that by leading with love, we can aim to create true, meaningful experiences for both us here and in our larger communities. That is the main reason I continue to generously support this congregation, and I invite y'all to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Our Share the Plate recipient this month is Transforming Nations Forward, a nonprofit organization based in Charlotte, North Carolina, dedicated to providing support and resources to underprivileged communities. The organization focuses on education, economic empowerment, and community development initiatives to help individuals and families thrive. Through partnerships with local businesses and volunteers, Transforming Nations Forward aims to create lasting, positive changes in the community. For this month's Share the Plate, we will be doing a grant match. An anonymous donor from within the congregation is matching up to $5,000 on behalf of Transforming Nations Forward. So please give generously, as 1/2 of this month's plate will go to the organization. All that we do to build the beloved community, and that starts right here. For text donations, you can simply text "give to UUCC" to 73256, followed by your gift amount, or follow the instructions on the screen. While the offering is collected, you are invited to come forward and light a candle, honoring a milestone, a concern, or a celebration. And the ushers may now come forward to receive the offering.
As always, when we come here, we come with a whole host of joys and sorrows in our hearts and in our lives. When we lift up connection over perfection, we do so knowing that we do not have to go it alone. This morning, we hold Ronna Abbott with love as she is hospitalized and under hospice care. We also hold with gratitude the courageous acts of so many, the ways we are showing up to meet this moment with clarity and purpose, living into our values, and living our values out loud is something to celebrate, something to honor, and something to sustain. So may we continue showing up in big ways or in small ways, in everyday ways, in extraordinary ways, even when it seems like it's not enough, and even when hope is hard to find. Won't you please join me in a moment of silence for all of the joys and concerns that live in our hearts this morning. I now invite you to join me in a time of stillness, of contemplation, rooted to where you are, joining me for a time of prayer. Perhaps lowering your gaze or even closing your eyes and being fully in the space. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of abounding joy, Spirit of active hope. When we gather and we call the Spirit into presence, what we are really calling on is the Spirit that weaves through this community. The Spirit that encompasses the good and the bad, and the joyful and the sorrow, the Spirit that holds and weaves, that connects us through time and place. That is the Spirit we activate when we gather. Spirit of life, weave your way and connect us to what has come before us, to the stories and the experiences of so many who have come through and made a way where there was no way, who have paved a way for each and every one of us to live this life into our fullness. We come with so much gratitude that our lives belong to us. Our lives belong to us, a privilege granted to so few throughout our human history. And what we do, what we choose, what we decide is ours to decide. Spirit of life, we ask that you lift those up who are isolated, who aren't connected, who feel despair, who are searching for hope and having a hard time finding it, those who may be in this space here today, those beyond. May we be one another's keeper. May we be reminders to one another that there is more hope somewhere, and there is more love right here. In the days, the weeks, the months, and the years ahead, may it always be so. Ashe, and blessed be. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for a closing song. There is more love somewhere. benediction this morning are gratitudes. Gratitudes for those who make sure we are connected to the outside world, our tech team, our volunteers, our coffee makers, our greeters. Of course, finally, George Washington III. It was months ago that I decided when Mary Hackenberg and I were at a production of something and heard that song, that I had to program that song, and the whole sermon was made around that song, because to me that song was the sermon, and I thought it has to be George Washington to do it. And to have that come to life is the testament of the Spirit that weaves through each one of us, that we create this together. So the gratitude is for each one of us, choosing to gather again once more when we could be anywhere else doing anything else. But we chose to be here. We chose to create beauty. We chose to find joy. And in this world, that is more precious than gold. That's right. So won't you extinguish our chalice together?
Our service has now ended. Please join me in reading the words on the screen.